Hey everybody, it's Chris over at Dixieland Farm. Aren't you already doing a video on the progress of the room? Wait a minute, didn't we already see it and this is the old room? Yes, I'm actually doing two videos kind of at the same time. So besides us changing out the room, one of the issues I've got in this room is cables. Being the nerd I am, I've got a lot of stuff hooked up and it's intricate, and the problem is over the years the wires have become this spaghetti, so much so that it traps dust in this room. One of the biggest problems of this room before we went ahead and rehabbed it is the wiring. So I'm going to take this opportunity to organize the wirings, but I'm going to do a before video and after video so I can show what I did to organize the wires. And honestly, it's so much of a problem that dust forms back here, and I do believe enough dust formed on one of my old computers to catch it on fire. The computer literally caught on fire. One of the RAM chips caught on fire. We came in, we heard the fan was going, and that was the self-protection circuitry. And I looked, and there was a burnt trace on the motherboard. So cleaning back here is just impossible. So having the wires organized in the future will hopefully prevent that. So let's go ahead and see the thing I'm talking about. So I mean, here it is. Here is literally spaghettis of wire that I cannot get to anything. And then that's just the computer part. Underneath here, let's see if we can shine a flashlight. I mean, it is just a tremendous bunch of nonsensory to no end. And I know what you're thinking, Chris, your ham radio setup must be different. Well, you'd be wrong, of course. So the ham radio setup, well, it's a little more organized. But stuff dips behind there, and also I can't get to it to actually clean it out anymore. So one of the goals in redoing this room is to do the wiring. So yeah, I'll try to document that and take you along, and we'll go through some of the ways that we can organize the wiring. A lot of zip ties, but there might be other things too. So the desk is coming together. I pulled out all the wires. I know it looks bad, but this is what's actually keeping our network alive. So I got the router going, got the modem, got the coax's amplifier for the TV antenna, the two tuners, and it's all plugged in. Okay, the room isn't even done yet. You can see we've already got a tangle. So let's see how we can organize this. One, we've got the little mini extension cords for the AC adapters. This is the UPS, so this already is going to help giving us multi-outlets. So I'm going to plug anything that needs to be backed up by the battery into this multi-outlet. And we're going to use some of these. So what these are little squares that you can zip tie to. And we'll stick a couple on here so we can route some of the cables up and around. So there's a shot of me working diligently, so that way you don't notice the jump cut to the wiring. Another day, another shirt. I've got some Ethernet cables here that I wired up, so they're about, I don't know, 2.5 feet long. Taking small steps, so I already had the equipment to do this, an extra wire. So shortening the cables should help keep things clean. So just doing a little bit at a time. What I can do, this might take me 3 minutes, but it's another step. So one thing that I am trying to do is to label the wires as I go along. So I'll just wrap those on both ends of the wire. Before and after. I know, it's not much different, but it's a baby step. Another day and another few minutes to spend on trying to get the cables organized. So right now what I'm doing is I am building coaxial jumpers. So right now, I've got stuff like this, which is so stiff, and it just doesn't do a good job. So I'm just making up some ends so I can move along. Move along! So I know you probably can't tell, but it is a lot more organized with the shorter jumpers and everything kind of bundled up so far. But we still got more work to go. What I'm going to work on right now while I've got a few minutes is this. So they sell wiring looms, but I'm going to do something that came to mind, and that's to use this stuff. This is Coflex. You get it at doctor's offices or, of course, at the drugstore. We get it for horses. So I'm going to try to use this and see, does it work to tidy up those wires? Well, let's find out. Well, here we are. The new desk has arrived. Room is looking good, and we are still working on cable management. So I've started bundling up cables that could be bundled up together to get to the computer down here. And this is for the amateur radio, and we're leaving it dangling for the moment. So what I'm doing right now is I'm putting a terminal block here that's going to give 12 volts DC, and it's going to go inside this outlet here. In the past, I used to just run everything from the amateur radio power supply, and I'd run for the meter here, the meter there, and for my Morse code keyer, plus it's also something I listen to so I can change the bandwidth and the 2 meter 440 rig and all that stuff. So I used to run wire. What I'm going to do is I'm actually just going to run very small jumpers from that terminal block. So that'll help with the wiring considerably and make an easier go of it. So I'm just wiring that up right now. Another day, and the more I think about it, the more I don't need this meter. So this meter is actually also in here. It does also read this radio, but I don't need to see this radio's output power. I really only need to see this, and this is already hooked up. I don't need that. So I'm going to remove it. Getting all fancy with these zip ties is you make a change, you gotta go back and cut them out. But that's a small price to pay, especially because I've got hundreds, literally hundreds of them. So this change is going to be good. Oop, got another one. Still labeling. Don't forget the little things, like labeling which one is the mouse and which one is the keyboard. It's going to help. Also, I ordered a 9-foot USB 3.0 extension cord. So instead of having a lot of cables, when I need to plug in something here and there, I've got this cable that I can just leave on the desktop with a female plug ready to go. It'll just be kind of hanging out here by the computer speakers, and then I just plug it in when I need it. So, webcam, MP3 drive. So I get it, it's still a jungle of wires. However, it is much more contained. Everything is labeled. Got the USB card here with the double-sided foam tape to hold it in place. I can get the cables in and out. Back here where the TV tuners are on the bottom, the 2 rows, and then up top here we have the DSL modem and the amplifier for the TV. Up top here we have the router. Every cable is labeled so I know where each Ethernet plugs into. Computer just slides right in. Got the ham radio set up. All the cables basically tied up as best as I can. Same thing with going to the monitor. Have the speakers here. We've got the USB 3.0 extension. The cables are fairly managed for the keyboard, and then underneath here, double-sided tape, we've got the power supply converter for the monitor. So The only thing left to do is make extension cords, well, actually jumpers for the radio to the antennas, where I've got it coming into the house. So that's going to be some wiring, some soldering. That's next. Another day, and this wrap up was all because of that picture back there. We've been waiting a long time for that picture to show up, so it's finally up. Here is the room. We got the arcade machine, got the window, and then you've got my amateur radio map, and then obviously the room itself. So the futon couch, and I was doing some ham radio stuff and also watching Louis Rossman, which is always great. So much better. So much better. The room is done. You're tearing me apart, Lisa! So, everybody, thank you so much for watching, coming along with us. I appreciate it. Take care, everybody.